You know those gashapon games people plunge tons of their hard-earned cash into? That's something I've never really dabbled with. I've played a bit of Brave Souls and Sonic Runners, but I've never really spent a dime on them. If a gacha game were the subject of a Sushi Bites episode, you'd probably think I've gone mad. And yet, here we are. On the 14th of January 2015, Touken Ranbu was launched in Japan. Being a gacha game, the main draw is, of course, the characters you got swindled into gambling for. In this game, they're all extremely effeminate, bishonen hunks, who just so happen to be the personification of famous swords carried by real samurai from Japan's well-documented history. That explains why some of them are so sharply dressed. Because they're swords, do you get it? Laugh, damn you! At some time in 2017, the game hit China, but don't let them know it hit them, otherwise they'll retaliate with nuclear weapons. And eventually the game even found its way worldwide on April 27th, 2021. As with most of these pseudo-gambling games that are somehow still alive, it has a wildly obsessed female fanbase that drops ludicrous sums of money on the game. This same community of sword-obsessed ladies sank $430,000 into reforging a once-lost samurai sword. If only these Japanese ladies were as interested in my sword, that's great and all, but you don't like gacha games, Matt? You're probably thinking, yeah, you're right, I have zero interest in stuff like this. Okay, maybe I can appreciate the beauty of these attractive men in a strictly platonic way, at least that's what I tell myself, but I have zero interest in grindy, boring, card-collecting gacha games that nickel and dime you. However, if a gacha game franchise were to, hypothetically speaking, spin off into an officially licensed Warriors game with Koei Tecmo's approval and involvement, that would be completely different. Now you're speaking my language, if my language was a hack-and-slash historical drama featuring pretty boys who lose their clothes. Okay, stick with me here. So that's precisely what happened here, actually. Developed by Ruby Party, a subsidiary of Koei Tecmo that develops games made by and for women, Touken Ranbu Warriors is a standard Warriors title with a rather limited roster of characters and a few unusual tweaks. It was released on Nintendo Switch and as a digital PC download through DMM in Japan in February 2022, and was followed up with a Switch and Steam release worldwide that May. Even though the intended audience for this game is affluent young women with a penchant for young and sexually appealing men, there's also something here for anyone seeking a breezy, simple Musa game. I'm surprised it got localized at all, but considering the likely low effort required for such a small game, they probably figured it was worth the risk. The Touken Danshi are these aforementioned anthropomorphized sword spirits, and they usually live with their master, Saniwa, in their Honmaru, or living quarters if you don't speak Japanese. Saniwa serves as the, shall we say, self-insert for the person playing the gacha game. However, in Touken Ranbu Warriors, Saniwa has gone missing, and in the absence of their master, the Danshi find themselves attacked by the villainous History Retrograde Army. Who is the HRA? Oh, some creepy people who have swooped in to rewrite history. Certain battles from the Sengoku era of Japanese history have been altered. The wrong people win, or something doesn't go as it is supposed to, causing a strain on history. Why is it our pretty boys' problem? Because the government of time says it's their problem. So the Touken Danshi, with the help of Konosuke the Kudagitsune, or as I like to call him, Squeaky Little Connor, travel through time to put foundation over the blemishes on the face of Japanese history and free the Lilat system once again. At the beginning of the game, you've got immediate access to 15 playable Danshi, though you can only use certain characters within each arc of the story. This means you might not get to use your favourite Danshi right away, or barely at all, outside of replay mode. The sweet delayed gratification that came from waiting for Namazuo Toshiro and his sweet, heart-melting smile, only to have him locked away from me again. Eventually a 16th playable character joins the roster, the enigmatic Omokage. It's not an impressively large roster compared to your typical Warriors game, which may contain upwards of 80 characters, such as the case with Dynasty Warriors 8. No, you get 16 characters, and you're gonna like it. Not good enough? Who cares? The game likely made its money back in like 3 days. The Rekijo got endless money to spend on Touken Ranbu. Each chapter goes as follows. A famous battle in Japanese history has gone awry. You get an explanation of what's gone wrong, and the correct timeline to compare it to. Then, you have to complete one or more investigations where you put the mistake right, such as stopping the enemies from destroying hidden reserves, or defeating the HRA generals who have decided that Japanese history needs more purple hazy energy clouds in it. After poking and hoping with history enough, you are pitted against some big ludicrous monster, history is saved and everybody parties. Rinse and repeat for each major snafu. Most of the game is voiced with Japanese dialogue. There are full motion video sequences, in-game cutscenes, and spoken segments with character portraits. The game is heavy on speech. The Danshi even speak to each other while you're menuing through the Honmaru. I'm a little surprised Ruby Party went to this much effort with the game, but to be honest, they probably had half a dozen Touken Ranbu fans on the team, and they knew exactly what they wanted out of this project. Yep, they knew exactly what they wanted out of this project. Completing missions will net you some experience points for all of your active Danshi deployed at the Honmaru, with a little extra for those who participated in the mission. They will also earn bond points, which improves their friendship level, and the Honmaru itself can be leveled up as well, unlocking new items to buy. When a Danshi levels up, their stats increase, not by a lot per level, but they level up fairly quickly. Teaming up with another Danshi raises their friendship levels, which reveals special conversations between the Danshi and improves their synergy in battle. You can also unlock special abilities and other permanent upgrades for each Danshi by using materials which you collect from completing missions and playing time-limited minigames. These minigames take place all around the Honmaru. They range from making mochi to harvesting crops, flower arranging, and even pose matching with our furry friend, Squeaky Little Connor. The story is the main meat here, and if you're not really following it, then the game can get samey. My recommendation is to take the game slowly, try to absorb some of the history, and not blast through. There are achievements to unlock on PC, and it's a fun, low difficulty muso to complete. However, there's not much reason to play the game all the way to full completion. They're not hiding an underwear mode or anything. If you play the story mode through, you get to experience a lot of Japanese history, which is a plus. So for that reason alone, I really recommend a playthrough of the game as a nice palate cleanser of sorts. Come on, look at it, it's a Warriors game. You know what kind of game this is from just a quick glance. These games can be a lot of fun, and although there's no significant depth here, it's a chewing gum game, and you know what, that's okay. Sometimes you need a good game to chew on. When the game launched at its obscene price of £49.99, I scoffed at the distinct lack of content. Then I realised the core audience is women with too much money and not enough time, so the price tag makes sense. However, that said, I simply cannot recommend Touken Ranbu Warriors at its base price. Chewing gum games should not cost £49.99. Thankfully, since its release in 2022, the Steam version has been on sale twice, dropping to around the £30 mark both times. I'm not saying I regret my purchase, because I certainly do not. I just think even at £30, it feels like I paid a lot for what is essentially a small portion of any other Warriors title. Dynasty Warriors 7 is on Steam, with all the DLC bundled in for way less. I know it's an older game, but it's still a vastly different price. I would keep an eye out for when this game drops to around the £20 to £25 mark. If you're going to take your time with it, I feel like that's a fair price. I don't want to dissuade Ruby Party from making more games like this. After all, this game was something of an experiment in Western releases, and I hope in that regard it was a success for them. If Ruby Party have got a spare couple of months, I insist they consider looking back into their catalogue instead of forwards, and translate Buddy Mission Bond into English. That has the potential to become a great seller, and would get a lot of attention if revealed during a Nintendo Direct. This has been Sushi Bites. Thanks for watching.